Sue.
Welcome back to 3304's special segment, The High Five. I'm Sophie Tarabola, joined by Phoebe Winters, and we are here to present you with our top 5 bowl game matchups before we get into our up high, down low, too slow.
That's right, with the football season coming to a close, many teams are anxiously awaiting a chance to play in a bowl game. Now, the official bowl game schedule will be released this Sunday, December 3rd, but in the meantime, we have our top 5 of the anticipated bowl matchups.
Our bowl projections are courtesy of Big Game Boomer on Instagram and College Football Network. Coming in strong at number 5 is the Military Bowl, which is projected to be a contest between Virginia Tech and the University of Memphis. Phoebe, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, this might be a bit of a biased choice, but personally, I'm very excited to watch the Hokies compete in their first bowl game under head coach Brent Pry, who was definitely riding high after the Hokies' dominating win over the Cavaliers last weekend. And Memphis will no doubt make for strong competition as their starting quarterback, Sean Hennigan, had 3,516 passing yards this season.
Memphis also had the opportunity to play in the Liberty Bowl, and I'm sure they'll put up a good fight wherever they end up. Moving on to our number 4 pick, Oregon and Alabama projected for the Cotton Bowl.
Number 8 Alabama and number 5 Oregon should make for an interesting Cotton Bowl, especially considering Alabama still has Final Four aspirations. However, I'm sure a Cotton Bowl entrance will feel a bit bittersweet for Oregon if they don't manage to overturn their Week 8 loss to the Washington Huskies in the Pac-12 title game tonight.
Speaking of Washington, for our number 3 pick, we have Michigan and Washington potentially playing in the Rose Bowl. What are your thoughts on this one?
Even with their tricky schedule this season, Washington managed to go undefeated. Michigan also had an undefeated season, and after beating Ohio State and advancing to the Big Ten championship, they secured one of the easiest paths to the Final Four.
And that brings us to our number 2 pick. We have Louisville and Ohio State in the Orange Bowl. What do you have to say about this potential matchup?
Louisville has been having one of its best seasons since the Lamar Jackson era with a 7-1 record and appearing in their first ACC title game this Saturday. On the other side, after a loss to rival Michigan for the 3rd year in a row, Ohio State head coach Ryan Day will no doubt be looking to make a huge comeback to get back into the good graces of Ohio State fans. Should make for a very interesting matchup.
Agreed. Day is definitely in some hot water with the Buckeye fans, but a coach who certainly isn't Mike Norvell, which brings us to our number 1 pick, the Sugar Bowl, projected to be between FSU and Georgia.
This matchup could be very interesting for a number of reasons. I think this matchup honestly speaks for itself. Not only have both Florida State and Georgia had undefeated seasons this year, ranking number 4 and number 1 in the college football playoff rankings, but if these two teams are selected for the Sugar Bowl, it would be their first meeting in 20 years. Their first meeting since they played in the 2003 Sugar Bowl.
Now that we have discussed our top 5 bowl game predictions, we are jumping into our up high, down low, too slow. For our up high today, I'm going to hand it over to the Hokies of Virginia Tech, absolutely dominating the Hoos of UVA Saturday, the 25th, during the Commonwealth Cup game. With a final score of 55-17, the Hokies offense was on fire. Kyron Drones completed an amazing game with 244 throwing yards, featuring Daquan Felton scoring 2 touchdowns for the Hokies, while Bashal Tootin scored a touchdown while returning a kickoff 94 yards. The Hokies were stellar.
That's right, Sophie. The offense from the Hokies was incredible, making them the perfect candidate for our up high spot today. That being said, let's take a look at who we put down for our down low spot.
For our down low spot, we got to give it to the Panthers of Pittsburgh football. They just did not show out their last game facing the Blue Devils of Duke, resulting in a loss of 30-19, and this wasn't their only sad loss this season. Their entire season could be considered a flop. Their offense against Duke just didn't show out.
Pittsburgh was 7-0 against Duke since November of 2015, but that record broke last Saturday. Duke's defense held the Panthers to 43 rushing yards to go with a 4.0 sacks and 10.0 tackles for loss.
That being said, the Panthers came to a devastating loss to a rival at the end of their season, making them the down low spot for today's section. Moving on, let's take a look at our too slow slot for today.
For our too slow, I think we are going to give it to Georgia Tech, resulting in a loss against their state rival Georgia. Georgia Tech still put up a good fight, ending in a 31-23 score with tough competition. The Yellow Jackets couldn't cut it. Yellow Jackets quarterback Haynes King threw for 158 yards and rushed for 2 touchdowns in the game. Eric Singleton Jr. was the leading receiver for Tech with 96 receiving yards on 4 receptions. But Georgia Tech just fell short of winning against Georgia, making them the too slow for our segment today.
And that today, guys, is 3304 segment, The High Five. I'm Sophie Tarabola here with the amazing Phoebe Winters, and we will catch you guys next week.